Hello, I'm Matt Galloway, and this is the Current Podcast. You know, these days, it seems like everyone is talking about one TV program, and that program is Heated Rivalry.
The way that I just sobbed my way through the entire episode 5 of Heated Rivalry, I'll never recover.
They say, hey, have you watched this gay hockey TV show? All the women are loving it.
What is this new show you're watching? Tell us about it.
I'm watching a new show that a lot of people are watching, and it's called Heated Rivalry.
The show has given us something to celebrate.
If I was a kid who had had that TV show at 16, boy, oh boy, things would be so much more different.
Apparently, episode 5 of Heated Rivalry is the #1 rated episode on IMDb. Well, yes, deserved. That is truly one of the best episodes of television I have ever seen.
Has Heated Rivalry made everybody insane? Yes. Yes. Is this a heated rivalry effect? Yes, it is. What is going on?
In case you haven't heard, this Canadian TV series follows professional hockey players Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov. The two men start a years-long secret relationship that begins after a charged moment in the locker room showers.
What is your room number?
1410.
Well, if I come to 1410 tonight, it's 9 o'clock.
I might open.
I might knock.
This show, shot on a shoestring budget in Canada, is now a global sensation, as you heard, and it's prompting lots of conversations online about LGBTQ love and about hockey culture. Matt Kenny is one viewer whose posts about this program have gone viral. Matt played competitive hockey as a teen in Canada, left the sport when he felt he couldn't express his sexuality safely and still be a hockey player. He's on the line now from his home in California. Matt, good morning.
Good morning, Matt. How are you?
I'm really well. You wrote that on Christmas Eve, after everyone went to bed, you pressed play on Heated Rivalry. And these are your words. I knew it would be hard. I didn't expect it would break me. Tell me about watching Heated Rivalry.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. I think we're having a really important kind of cultural moment. So when I pushed play on this show, I thought I was going to be watching a TV show about, some sexy hockey dudes. But what happened was my eyes kind of started watching something I thought I had survived and buried. It felt super private. And suddenly this whole experience was kind of being thrown back at me, a story that I thought only 2 people kind of knew about. And somehow I'm sitting here watching it on television, and it terrified me. I think for myself and for other people that have heard from it, sent everybody back to a place that we weren't necessarily prepared to visit, and, could see ourselves in these characters and in these subtle nuances of these characters. And I think it wasn't necessarily a specific storyline. It was this heavy feeling that hung over everything, which was, the fear, the joy, the secrecy of love that was never supposed to exist in daylight, and, internal homophobia and shame. Shame that players like me wore like a second skin.
You didn't make it through the first episode, you said?
I didn't. No, not the first time. I was probably about 25 minutes in, and I was overcome with a panic attack, and I couldn't breathe. And to be perfectly honest, panic attack lasted about 5 days in terms of just shallow breath and this like heaviness that's out of my chest as I guess the way looking back on it now, it was more like my body was having this reaction and my brain couldn't catch up because these things had kind of been buried so deeply in my psyche, and they were being, ripped back out and pulling me back underwater.
When you were a teenager, you say that hockey was your life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I played competitive hockey from, probably like 5-6 years old all the way to about 17, 18. I played, rep, travel. I played for high school teams. And it was everything. It was, 4, 5, 6 days a week. It was long bus rides for 2 different provinces to play. It was late nights, early mornings, getting home at 2 a.m. and trying to catch a couple hours sleep and get to school and write a test and do it all again.
And then you left the sport. You walked away.
I did, yeah. A lot of things kind of happened. So like we saw in Heated Rivalry, I had a similar experience with another hockey player. And like so many closeted athletes. I think part of what this show did as well was represent this joy that none of us, well, I can't say none, but most of us didn't end up seeing. We're so kind of conditioned to see these gay stories as trauma, and mine personally ended, in a very different way than what we saw in Heated Rivalry. And when that all happened, it kind of just broke me in a way where I reevaluated everything and made some very drastic decisions. And one of them, unfortunately, in retrospect, was to hang up my skates and get away. It just kind of felt like I was giving everything to this sport, and deep down inside, I just knew that this sport I loved probably wasn't able to love me back.
It wasn't. What do you mean by that? It wasn't able to love you back?
Well, speaking that way is more what Matt, thought about back then. It was more just, these worlds that we create, especially for the purpose of this conversation today with you, Matt, speaking, specifically about hockey, these kind of hyper-masculine worlds that we've created where men kind of have to act in a very specific way, that they're not allowed to have emotions that go outside the norm of what we've kind of deemed masculine and male sports. So when you're sitting in an environment where I was very lucky. I didn't experience direct to my face hate, homophobia. I know other players have. What I experienced was something much subtler, was, sitting in a dressing room and hearing kind of conversations that are happening, and tying up your skates or untying your skates, and then all of a sudden you hear the F word, the one that's used towards gay people, the one that, that's meant to demean people and signal to you that you're somehow less of a man. When you're in that environment and you're hearing all about these, this locker room talk, who you hooked up with, what you did with girls, expectations, and, expectations we're kind of seeing play out in some courts today, but you'd be sitting there surrounded by the people you love most in the world, like your brothers, your family, and then something would shift in the blink of an eye. You'd hear this word, and it just felt like, a million paper cuts. You'd keep your head down, but not too long. So you got to look back up and not at anyone. You don't react. You kind of freeze, don't give everything away. And then it just happens over and over and over again. And so you just learn to survive. And eventually it just felt like those daggers were coming, repeatedly. And you're in a world where you're kind of constantly calculating and reacting and lying and performing. And so eventually it just becomes too much. And the weight of that, eventually pushed me to walk away from that.
And so is that why, going back to that time and watching this series, is that why those early moments of episode 1, as you said, kind of broke you?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think it's that. And I think it's this relationship that I had with another player as well that existed only in secret and in shame and in shadow. And when you're seeing it on TV, the gay community, and that's the full gay community, not just men, aren't used to seeing those stories out in the light. We're not used to seeing them, out in the light, not end in tragedy, and watch the world radically embrace something that you kind of carried intense shame over for, many years.
So we started, and this is about that idea of seeing those kind of moments on a screen. We started talking about the first episode. I want to play something from the last episode. And if people haven't seen this, plug your ears and go la, la, la for 30 seconds. Because this is a key scene in the final episode of the first season where Shane is talking about his sexuality with his mom for the very first time. Have a listen.
Mom, I need you to know that I did really try. I tried really hard, but I just can't help it. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you have nothing to apologize for.
In your Instagram post, you wrote, "These stories matter, visibility matters." What do you think it means for a young person today to see a scene like that in a show that is, it's like the show that everybody is talking about now?
Yeah, it's going to change lives. so many younger people are living in shadows and living in fear of coming out. Even people who are in incredibly supportive and loving environments. Even if your kind of inner circle is that way, the greater world isn't. Part of when I shared what I shared on Instagram, like I woke up 3 times that night, panicking, take it down, delete it. You've put something out in the world that isn't safe. And by doing so, putting your heart on display like that automatically puts a bullseye on you. So I think
you felt unsafe even now.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah. When your producers reached out, my immediate reaction was absolutely not. Do not make yourself public. Do not put yourself out there. People, the world isn't necessarily fully embracing of real gay people the way that it is, characters on TV. Now, is that changing? I absolutely do think it's changing. And part of why I'm here today talking to you is because we need more voices speaking up. We need more voices so that characters like that become real life, who maybe don't even have to come out because it just becomes so normalized that they can just be that from the minute they kind of realized this was the way they are.
But one of the reasons why we wanted to talk to you was the post, but also the response to the post. There are comments that go on and on. I just want to read one. One says, as the mom of a 10-year-old boy who loves hockey and has a crush on his bestie, thank you for existing. I hope we are raising men who will keep each other safe and make space for everyone's joy. Given the fear that you had, waking up in the middle of the night wondering whether you should take the post down, when you read that, what's your response?
I mean, it's overwhelming. I don't even think covers it. I have been blown away by the response to this. I mean, anyone who has no idea what's going on, I threw out, a post telling my story openly and honestly. And across a couple posts now, it's hit over 1 million people. It has, over hundreds of thousands of likes. It's got probably 60, 70, 80,000 comments. And if you look at the comments, and unfortunately, because I'm a bit of a masochist, I've read most of them. I don't even have words because there isn't a single negative comment on anything. My inbox is flooded. I have over 700 messages from people. I'm trying to read every one of them, and they're all the exact same. They're not gay men athletes. They are people who have kind of lived in shame, trying to figure out how who they are and sport can coincide. I have a couple, there's professional athletes who are in the closet, people dating professional athletes who they can't, don't feel like they can be public. I have former athletes. I have a lot of parents who either have gay children who are competing. I have a heartbreaking story from a mother. Her 16-year-old son just came out to her. He's being scouted right now. And the kid knows he can't come out, or doesn't feel like he can come out because, contract sponsorships and careers are on the line. So the response to this for me has, healed me isn't even the right word, because the little kid that was so terrified of everything that I was and didn't think that the world could ever accept, is starting to realize that, this world that we're currently living in might just be able to do so, which is why I'm kind of turning up the volume in terms of making sure the younger generation, or, the current generation that's maybe struggling as well, sees these are real things. And if that means I put myself on the line for that, then, let's do it.
Good on you for doing that. Just finally, I got to let you go, but one of the other parts of this is you've been back out on the ice, right?
Yeah, this week. For the first time in well over a decade, even just skating. So I'm out in California, and I saw that there was a public skate. So I, went and got back out on the ice. It felt amazing, and I'm kind of determined to get back on the ice in full hockey gear. So it's slow but sure. But I, goals for 2026 is repairing my relationship with hockey.
I'm really glad to have the chance to talk to you. Thanks for posting what you did. I'm glad that you did it, and the response. It's been really, really powerful. Matt, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Matt Kenny grew up playing competitive hockey in Ontario, now lives in California. Given how popular Heated Rivalry is right now, could it, as Matt was saying, perhaps change hockey culture, even encourage more players who don't feel that they can come out of the closet to be their full selves while they're playing this game? It is a question one reporter put to Francois Arnault, Canadian actor who plays hockey player Scott Hunter in the series.
I think it's great. I just hope that it brings on like actual change in the league, and that like it has a real influence on how they treat their own players and the possibility of that, because it's not historically the most open association.
Brock McGillis is a former professional hockey player, one of the first male pro players to come out as gay. He now works as an advocate for LGBTQ rights and inclusion in sport, touring the country and speaking with players. Brock, good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt. How are you?
I'm well. You've said that this is a show for the girls, the gays, and the theys. Tell me about what you think the impact of Heated Rivalry could be.
Well, I mean, if you look at most content around hockey or sports, traditionally it's made for men, you know, the traditional hockey bro, the football bro, etc. And this is a show that, you know, I mean, it is hockey, but it's a gay love story, and it's pretty wonderful to see, and for so many people to feel represented by a show and in a sport that is so hypermasculine.
One of the things that people have really responded to in the series itself is that pivotal scene where the character Scott Hunter wins the cup and then comes out by bringing his boyfriend out onto the ice after and kissing him in front of everybody, and in this pivotal moment of his hockey career. What kind of difference do you think a scene like that can make?
I mean, I think what it does is it romanticizes. We don't get those stories. We get tragic AIDS stories or HIV, and we get gay bashing, and we get deviant sex, and we don't get a ton of love stories ever. And to have it in this really, you know, contrasting this toughness, hockey, is so unique and beautiful, and it's incredibly powerful. I think it'll be great for those who watch and want to have, you know, their own love story and see that, you know, maybe it is possible.
You've talked about the culture of sameness in hockey, the fact that, you know, in a dressing room, you can talk about four things. You can talk about women, video games, partying, and sports. You're now out on tour. You're in Halifax this morning speaking with players about how to make hockey more inclusive. What do they tell you about that environment? Is that environment any different than when you played?
Oh, it's definitely different than when I played. I mean, it's surely evolved. I mean, is it where we want it to be? Absolutely not. And, you know, it's interesting because my work's evolved to the point where the straight white bros can't be themselves, and they talk about those two things, and then maybe music, and depending on their age, potentially gambling, and that's it.
They can't talk about it. They can't talk about anything else because that's the code, that's the culture.
Yeah, essentially, and the rest is taboo. You have to conform, otherwise you're the weirdo, you know, and you might as well be the gay guy. And so they adhere to these norms, but there's so much more to them. So a lot of my work is challenging them to be brave enough to not adhere to that, to share more of themselves, and watching players across the country, from professionals down to kids, share more. And when the straight white bros who make up the vast majority of the room, can be more themselves, then maybe other people can share who they are.
How receptive are they to that message? And do they think that something like that is possible?
Oh, when they are given permission to be themselves and share, even, tell me something you like, something you don't like, something about you, and you're going to have two answers. You're going to have superficial kind of BS answer, and then you're going to have the real one, the brave one, the one you're afraid to share. And when they're given permission to do so, and when one person shares something brave, it's like a domino effect throughout the entire room, and it's just boom, 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 boom. And it's so powerful. Like, I would say in the past 2 and a bit months, I've had over 250 players share that they've self-harmed, had suicidal ideation, or tried to die by suicide.
And the fact that they would share that with you says something.
They've known me for an hour. they're sharing that with their teams. Everyone's in tears, hugging each other, supporting each other. It's men supporting men, boys supporting boys, and girls supporting girls, women supporting women. It's incredibly powerful.
I want to play you something from a hockey podcast called Empty Netters. This is hosted by three straight guys. They mostly talk about the latest in the NHL, and they've been doing live streams and reviews of all of the Heated Rivalry episodes. Listen to this.
I cannot believe I thought I enjoyed television before I saw this episode. I am in shock. I am in shambles. I don't even know what to say. This is insane.
There are just so many different moments that we can... People told us we were going to cry, but I don't even know which part they were talking about because there are many.
This is in some ways the biggest hockey story right now. And I wonder whether you think it will... I mean, is it being talked about on Hockey Night in Canada? Is it being talked about in the broadcast of the World Junior Championship, for example? And if it were to be, what difference would that make?
I think, well, maybe somebody hearing it, well, you know, I know for me, in some instances as a kid, I might have pushed further away. Just because the fear of the impact it might have on my career. But I would have felt hope. I think it's a missed opportunity if people aren't talking about it. I mean, how do you not take the most popular show on television that's about this sport and utilize it?
What would you want to hear from the NHL, for example? The NHL has tied itself in knots over, for example, bans on Pride tape that it then had to reverse, bans on Pride jerseys, for example, and try to figure out whether players can wear Pride jerseys. But there's a spokesperson for the NHL saying that in the NHL's 108-year history, this might be the most unique driver for creating new fans. What would you want to hear from the National Hockey League about this?
And listen, the National Hockey League's a sponsor of mine on my tour, and they support my work, and I'm thoroughly grateful. But whether it's the league and more in particular their media partners, this is great, and you have an opportunity now where all content for this sport is traditionally created, especially by, you know, mainstream media, for the straight white bro, for the hockey bro. And that's great. Keep creating that. You need to. But 42% of hockey fans in America are women. Over 20% of hockey fans in America are LGBTQ+. That is before this show. You have a prime opportunity to grow your fan base. Hockey viewership in America is down. Lowest numbers they've had. They need ways to drive fan bases and viewership and to get more people enticed into hockey. Leverage this. Use it. It's right there.
You just wonder what they're afraid of.
Well, now's the time. And listen, do leagues make content? Yeah. Do the media make content? Yes. So mainstream media, take this. Create other things. Don't just stop as a one-off and make memes about Heated Rivalry. No, use it as an opportunity to get creative and to make other content for these demographics that traditionally don't get content made for them.
I have to let you go. But I mean, Matt talked about the idea that this is an opportunity not just to change culture, but to save lives. It's a TV show, but it seems like it will have a bigger impact than just ratings, if I can put it that way.
I mean, I hope so. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to predict how TV does that, but I hope everyone who watches it gets, you know, something good from it. And I hope people who, you know, wouldn't traditionally watch a gay show do, because they'll see the impact and the struggle and the hardships that people go through to be themselves.
Brock, it's good to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Great to talk to you too, Matt. Have a great day.
And you, Brock McGillis, is a former professional hockey player, one of the first pro players to come out as gay, now speaks with young athletes across the country. He's in Halifax doing just that this morning.